Welcome to Behind the Blue Lights, the channel where we highlight police misconduct, dive into legal issues, defend rights, and demand proper accountability. Today's video comes courtesy of Spy Audits. His channel link is below, so make sure you subscribe and show him support. In this case, Spy stopped at a BP garage to fuel up and offered a £20 coin, an official Royal Mint piece and legal tender in the UK. What should have been a quick and simple payment turned into a fiasco. Staff refused the coin, called police, and instead of calming the situation down, officers made it worse, arresting him even though no crime had been committed. That reckless call later backfired, when Spy took them to court and walked away with a hefty payout.
£20 coin.
Never seen them in my life.
So it's from the Royal Mint, so the same place that all legal tender comes from.
Have you got any other means of payment at the minute?
I don't know. Right. Can I ask why you didn't tell me before you started recording?
So when we got to any incident, our tour of duty and our police protocol is to video every incident we go to achieve the best evidence.
But you've got to notify the person at the first available opportunity.
No, we don't.
You do.
Have you got that from somewhere? Have you read that up somewhere? Or?
Yes, your policy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, at the minute, we're obviously videoing everything because we've been called to an incident. Immediate response where there's some ongoing issue with payment, whether it's a domestic...
999?
Well, that's what's coming as, yeah.
Wow.
Well, we just didn't know what was happening. There was an altercation in the shop, so we've arrived on that instance. Are you going to give me your name?
I'm not, no.
Right, okay. Because is there a reason for that?
Because it's a civil matter, and it's not something that the police can get involved in.
To a degree, you're right. It is a civil matter. We can deal with it a different way, but obviously, ultimately, you haven't paid for your fuel.
From the moment the officer arrives, her handling is questionable. The auditor quickly notices her body-worn camera and asks why she hasn't declared it. The rules are straightforward. Officers must tell the public they're recording at the earliest chance. Instead of acknowledging that, she outright denies such a rule exists. Her next move is no better. She demands his name, despite this being a civil disagreement between him and the garage. There's no legal power to demand ID when no offense has been committed. Either she didn't know the law, or she chose to ignore it, both unacceptable for anyone in uniform.
I have.
But they're not accepting that money.
But that's up to them to accept it. If they decline...
They've obviously run the post office and they've declined that. Ultimately, it's a civil issue, but if you're not willing to give us your details, then how do we know that you're going to resolve a civil issue at a later date? If you're happy to give us your details, then we can look at the civil issue at a later date.
But that's a civil issue, that's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But we don't know your details, do we? So you could technically escape from here and never come back and never deal with that issue, then you'd be circulated as wanted for that, won't you, for making off without payment?
That's not a police issue at the minute.
It is. It is a police issue because you've not paid for fuel. So there's still an offence there of that you've not paid for your fuel.
But I have paid. I've gave them.
But you've gave them this coin, yeah, which ultimately they've spoke to the post office and they've decided that it's not a reasonable amount of payment for your fuel. So at the minute we're sort of hands are tied, yeah. Agree with you on a certain instance of that, but we still need a solution today, whether we take your details and we deal with it at a later date.
The officer even admits herself that it's a civil dispute, yet still tries to invent authority to force ID, so we know you'll resolve it later. That's not how policing works. If no crime is suspected, there's no power to demand details. She then threatens he could be circulated as wanted. That's pure bluff. Wanted markers apply to criminal suspects, people with warrants or who've failed to appear in court, not to civil payment rows. Using that kind of scare tactic isn't just wrong, it's a misuse of authority. If she genuinely thought an offense might apply, she needed to check the elements: dishonesty, leaving without paying, and intent to dodge payment. None applied here. The auditor stayed, tried to pay, and disputed the method of payment, all firmly in civil territory.
So basically, he's trying to pay with this. They've run the post office and said that it doesn't really exist, you can't pay with that. No. He obviously won't give us our details. I've explained to him to a degree it's a civil matter. However, if he does make off and he doesn't give us our details, we're struggling for any sort of civil issue at a later date. Any details and making off without payment, yeah. So I've explained if he does give us his details and we know where he is and we can contact him at a later date, hopefully this issue can get resolved. No. He's obviously not really... can't want him to do that at the minute.
Because it's a civil issue and it's nothing for the police to get involved in.
But you're still going to make off, aren't you? Technically without payment, but if we can get your details...
But I have paid.
But you haven't...
And it is their policy to accept the £20 coin.
Have you?
How's it
Has he
their policy?
paid?
No, he hasn't.
Right. If you haven't paid, and if you walk out the door now,
They've still got the money though.
Just let me finish. If you walk out that door now, you are liable for an arrest because we don't have your details.
But you don't need them.
Well, I do
because it's a civil issue.
But it's not, because a make off without payment is then a police matter.
A second officer steps in and instantly ramps things up, threatening arrest straight away. That's ridiculous. The auditor was still inside, clearly engaging, and showing no attempt to leave. There's no making off because he hadn't left, nor any sign of intent to avoid payment. What makes her threat weaker still is the fact he had already offered a £20 Royal Mint coin, which staff refused. That alone shows he wasn't trying to dodge payment. Under the Theft Act, you need both, leaving without paying and intent to avoid payment. Neither applied here. By twisting a civil matter into criminal grounds, the officer showed a poor grasp of the law.
So if you walk out that door now, it is. If you walk out that door now, you'll be getting arrested for make off without payment.
But there is an agreement with BP that the coin can be used.
Is there any other way that you can pay? Because we're going to sit here for hours arguing. I've been quite respectful to you. I appreciate you have to a degree, and I appreciate that from yourself. You haven't been argumentative with me, and I appreciate that you've been a normal human being. However, we need
I don't intend to. No,
I know you appreciate that.
If you can pay for the fuel now by other means, then that's fair enough. It'll be the end of the matter.
Or if you can give us your details, and we can deal with it at a slower time, we can offer you that. But if you're not willing to do either any, then we're struggling with what we have left to do.
Because we can't let you walk out that door without paying. But
we don't know where you live. You might not even be from around here. I'm not saying you are, but you know what I mean. We have people where they'll make off and then they won't give us our details, and then we're going to struggle. And we're still going to have that £20 of fuel, unfortunately, with this BP garage outstanding.
Which car is it?
But I have paid for the fuel.
But you haven't paid for the fuel. Which one?
Right, we're going round in circles, aren't we?
We are, unfortunately, yeah. We've agreed, we've reasoned with you now, and we've tried to say that if you give us your details, just tell you where you live, we'll deal with it slow time. However, you then leave, you don't have your details, you don't know where you live, you could live in London for all we know, and then there's still this making off without payment because they will not accept this as payment.
But I don't have to identify for a civil issue.
It technically isn't a civil issue though, is it, when you leave and you don't pay? You haven't paid for your fuel. We've got the payment here, which isn't acceptable, so really you haven't paid at the minute.
The entire conversation sits on a false foundation. Officers kept warning, "If you leave," as if he was about to run off. But he never did. He stayed in the shop, continued talking, and had already tried to pay with a Royal Mint coin. They weren't reacting to his actions, but to a scenario they'd made up in their heads. That isn't enforcing law, that's fiction. And their excuse that they couldn't confirm his ID without forcing details is just as flimsy. His car was right outside, complete with registration, an immediate lawful way to confirm ownership if truly necessary. Instead, they ignored that and pushed demands they had no legal basis for, inflating the problem instead of resolving it.
I have, because I've handed the coin over. Right. So I haven't got that in my possession, and I've contacted BP head office before coming here.
Right, and was that today then, or?
No.
So when was that then? So you've contacted BP head office before you've come in?
Correct.
Right, so did you contact them today, or was it yesterday or last week, or?
It's not up to me to say that.
How's it money?
Do you understand what the £20 coin is?
No, that's why I'm confused.
Well, why are you threatening me for arrest then, if you don't know?
Because it's not money.
It is.
Right. We'll agree to disagree.
You don't know that. It is. It's legal tender, the same as a £20 note and a £10 note.
Right, and who did you speak to from the BP garage, the manager?
It's a Royal Mint who issued that £20 coin.
Right. Okay.
So it's the same money as any other money.
If you get someone on the phone to me who you've spoken to earlier, then we could kind of end the matter here, can't we?
But if it's a civil issue, I don't need to assist you.
But at the minute we don't know it's a civil matter.
But I don't need to assist you in a civil issue.
But you do, because it then turns into a police matter because we don't know that car.
The auditor even pointed out that BP themselves confirmed the £20 coin was valid. That should have settled things. Instead, the officer twisted it into a demand, insisting he call BP on the spot or else it becomes a police matter. That's nonsense. He had no obligation to assist her like that, and refusing doesn't suddenly create an offence. The police role is to assess facts and apply the law, not to dump the burden onto a citizen to prove himself. Her follow-up line, "We don't know that coin," only dug the hole deeper. A Royal Mint £20 coin is legal tender. If officers don't recognise it, that's their failing, not his.
It's a civil agreement.
Of being arrested because you haven't given us details, and you're going to walk out that door, and it's technically a failure to pay.
But then it'll be a civil. But then I'll sue you.
Well, that's fine. If you want to sue us, that's fine.
Unlawful arrest.
Like I said, we've been honest with you in terms of which way we can go. The staff here have been very honest. Okay, and all I'm saying is, if you get the person on the phone who you spoke to earlier with the agreement, then that could be the end of the matter. But as far as I do, then technically, if you walk out the door, it's going to be a make without payment.
He's already accepted to take it.
You haven't accepted to take it. No, haven't accepted to take it. You walk out that door, becomes a criminal matter, and you get arrested for make off without payment.
You give us your details.
You're refusing to give us your details, and we don't know that vehicle is yours because you're not.
But I've told you.
Is it urgent?
That he said he would take the coin.
But he isn't.
If I take my mask off.
Right, well I wasn't here for that, so we have no witnesses, unfortunately, other than you and him. Right now I can't view that.
Body camera.
But right now I can't view that. At the end of the day, you've come in, you've paid for you've got your fuel, you've come in. This isn't a payable matter. Once you leave, we've offered you to give us your details and deal with that way. For all I know, that vehicle could be registered to somebody else and lived in London. And how are we ever going to trace you?
But I don't need to assist you.
Once you leave the situation, it is making off without payment. I can't be any more reasonable with you and give you some sort of options that we can go.
But I don't need to assist you.
Are you offering to give
because
the
you're
staff,
wrong.
not myself, not my colleague, the staff your name and contact number?
No.
Right, so we have one option but two will lock you up then.
Well, I've got a civil agreement in the background.
You can prove that at court. Prove that at court.
That's fine, you can prove that at court.
Right, well this moment in time, you're currently under arrest for making off without payment. You don't have to say anything,
but I haven't made off.
We don't mention one question from the later line court. Anything you do is maybe give evidence.
But I haven't made off though.
For your arrest is prompted in factual investigation. Okay?
But I haven't made off.
You're under caution as well. And due to the fact you failed to provide details.
But I haven't made off.
Failed to provide details, yeah.
But I haven't made off.
Right, are we going to go calmly? We're going to go quietly?
We would go calmly all the time.
Okay, well, do you want to walk with us then?
Of course.
Thank you. Just come with me, sir, please. Have you got anything in your pockets that's going to harm me or you? Just take them out. It's just a question we ask everybody.
Can we just take your camera off as well, please?
This is where stupidity tips into outright abuse. The officers arrest the auditor for making off without payment, while he's literally standing inside the shop saying, "I haven't made off." That alone should have killed the case. The theft act is clear. The person must both leave and intend to avoid payment. He hadn't left, wasn't trying to, and had already handed over valid legal tender. There was no offense at all. Yet they still pushed through with the arrest, an indefensible move they knew wouldn't hold up.
10 months ago, I walked out of those gates after being falsely arrested for using the £20 coin. The Chief Constable has paid out £4,000 in compensation, but unfortunately he did not apologise at any point, even taking him to court. He went all the way to court, we had the hearing date, and then the Chief Constable saw some sense and paid £4,000 in compensation, but no apology.
The case went to court, and the auditor walked away with a massive £3,999 payout plus legal costs. That's no small sum. It proves how weak the police's position was once examined properly. They couldn't defend their actions, so they had to settle. But what makes it worse is that, according to the auditor, the Chief Constable, the very head of the force, never apologized. They paid out thousands of pounds of public money, acknowledged wrongdoing with cash, yet refused even a basic admission of fault. That silence speaks volumes. It shows a culture more concerned with saving face than owning mistakes. What began as a simple civil disagreement over a coin spiraled into a wrongful arrest because authority and ego replaced knowledge and common sense. The officers even built their whole case on what ifs, imaginary scenarios like what if you walk out without paying, instead of reality. That's not law, that's fantasy policing. And the bigger picture? When intimidation replaces lawful policing, trust in the entire system is eroded. If this can happen over a coin, it can happen over anything. Nearly £4,000 of taxpayers' money wasted, with no apology, no accountability. That tells us everything about where the force's priorities lie, protecting image over fixing behavior. That's all for today. If you found this video useful, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps keep this independent coverage going. And don't forget to check out Spy Audits, linked in the description. Give his channel some support. Thanks for watching. This is Behind the Blue Lights, and I'll see you in the next one.